then there's nothing wrong with that. That's the nightmare that we are living in today. These evil people who want to who are openly worshiping the devil now. Even, their creations, their idea of art has no beauty in it. Even their, Tucker Carlson complains that even their architecture is ugly. They want us to live in these little brick homes like this with a little window just big enough, for a block there to let in the sunlight. That's how they want us to live. There's no beauty in the devil, in his creation. There is beauty in the creation of God, and we should admire the beauty of the creation of God. I am sure this man is going to pick the best looking one who comes out. He'd be a pretty poor servant if he didn't, and that's one of the things that I think a lot of people think. God. I've heard a lot of preachers say that God gives preachers good looking wives. So I think I got a good looking one anyway, LaRonda. She's watching. Verse 24. I'll listen and see if she starts shouting up there. Verse 24. The servant puts out a fleece with God. Chuck Smith says, sometimes it takes a long time for a prayer to be answered. Abraham had been praying for years for his prayer for a son to be answered. Sometimes they are answered immediately. God is in control of the issue uh, of my life and the timing of those issues. Sometimes we ask God to cancel a request later as we see the bad and danger in that thing. God intended to give it to you before you prayed, and uh, He intended to give it to you all along. Your prayer opened the opportunity for Him to give it to you. Prayer does not change the will of God. Every good thing God intends to give before he gave it. Jesus was talking to his disciples when he said, "You can ask anything whatsoever, and all you are going to ask for only what is pleasing to God." And so what to bring your attention to that. Cecil read that verse tonight. I think it's in uh, uh, around Matthew 24, 27, somewhere around in there. I forget what he read. I'll post it in the next couple of days. But anyway, he's talking to his disciples when he says, you can ask anything and whatsoever you ask. And, all, what, you need to be demanding that I answer your questions. But you have to keep in mind, he's talking to his disciples there, to the 12. And so I believe that the disciples did get anything that they demanded. It's kind of interesting. You'll see them go along, and you're like, how in the world did they know God would do that? Well, because whatever they said, God would do for them. Like the healing of the paralytic as they went into the temple. He asked for gold, and they said, "Silver and gold have I none, but what I have I will give thee." And so Peter heals him. And so, how did, and Paul does many things. How does he know? But they were apostles. And so they were given that gift. And so, it also could apply to us as his disciples, in that we are not going to ask for anything that is not pleasing to God. We're not going to ask to win the lottery. And so, we often read that and we think, it's a wish list from God, and then we're disappointed whenever we don't get what we asked for. But um, there, it may be that we aren't the ones that can ask, and so but keep that in mind when we interpret Scripture. Who is it speaking to? It's not talking to everybody. Not everybody can pray to